This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to build your own personal website, online store, or portfolio. You can go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS for 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace. It's really good.
Farts.
Bubble farts.
Farts.
Whatever.
It is January 21st, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 194. I'm Sean Vanneman.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Danielle Riendeau.
And Chris Ramo is on assignment at the Microsoft Keynote. Chris is not at the Microsoft Keynote.
What? It is quite a keynote.
Microsoft Keynote just wrapped up.
It was like 5 hours long.
They've got like a hollow visor.
That was the cool part. It was like 3 hours of boring, and then holographs.
So you paid attention. Jake paid some attention probably on Twitter. I know nothing.
I read like the assessment article, but I didn't watch the stream.
Okay.
The most notable thing to me was that when Phil Spencer was up, he had a T-shirt that had the Battletoads logo on it.
Yes. Yes, he did.
So there's that. I mean, Microsoft apparently also re-upped the Battletoads trademark for the first time since they acquired Rare in November. So Battletoads for the X-Bone.
The signs are there.
What are the odds of that game being good? 10 to 1?
But think about this.
I'll think about it.
No,
is anybody still at Rare who worked on the original Battletoads?
I bet there's a guy. I bet there's one
somebody.
person.
Yeah.
Well, Ken Lobb is still at Microsoft, and he worked on GoldenEye.
That's true.
But that's still a generation and a half up from Battletoads, which Battletoads straddled the 8/16-bit divide because that was like NES and Genesis.
It was like 91 or 92. Yeah. It was like right on the cusp. Yeah.
But
anyway,
man, Battletoads, I get whatever.
I don't know. Does Battletoads hold up? I think I played a ROM of it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just really hard.
Yeah, I just remember Battletoad being brutal.
It just looked better than a lot of other games. The soundtrack was really good, and it was really hard. But like all the games then were hard. Like Contra was fucking hard. Games were hard.
It's well designed. I mean, it holds up in terms of that. Yeah. But it's...
All that I remember is that you could turn into like a clay wrecking ball lump and fall down a tube.
It was a big deal though, because like in the Double Dragon series, Double Dragon 2 and Battletoads were like of the same era. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were both 8-bit NES games, and it looked completely different.
Yeah, Battletoads was like taking that sort of combat-y Double Dragon thing, but then putting a Ninja Turtle skin on it. I mean, not literally Ninja Turtles, but anyway.
So the new Windows is going to ship with a copy of Battletoads?
Probably. Battletoads is replacing Solitaire. Internet Explorer is being replaced with Project Spartan, apparently. Some new web browser. Solitaire is being replaced with Battletoads. Minesweeper also replaced... Minesweeper is replaced with Solitaire. It's a little sort of switcheroo
and their Siri counterpart is named Cortana.
I do know about
that. For a little while.
That's been around, yeah.
But so they
ship the phone with Cortana.
They announced... What's it called? It's called...
Everything was a Halo name. Like
why do they think that's good?
I don't know. The game space is called Xbox. It's weird. Maybe Battletoads is not going to be a game, but it's going to be their new... their new naming strategy. Like when the HoloLens is there, like they announced an AR headset where it's like it's a big fat thing. It looks like an Oculus, but you can see through it like you can with like the Cast AR or something. Gotcha. And like the video shows like a woman working on a design for a motorcycle. Then she gets up and the prototype is there, but then like the glasses, because she has glasses on, wipe her latest 3D model over the top. And then like a guy's got his living room table and his whole Minecraft city's there, and someone's answering the phone in the bathroom. It's like
you can do that now.
Well, there's like a picture of the guy on the wall, and his text message shows up and stuff.
Oh man, that's my place.
Yeah,
I don't need You can keep AR out of the
Bathroom
toilet.
tech.
But maybe that thing is going to be like Battletoads branded, and the models are going to be like the Rash, Pimple, and Zit.
Yes.
Those I think are the 3 names of the Battletoads.
Glad you knew that.
I think, man, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Ninja Turtles, named after classical artists.
Yeah.
Battletoads, named after things
Teen
you get rid of.
acne.
Yeah, with the oxypad.
Gross adolescent afflictions. Yes. Puberty got thrown out last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pimples it and scabies. Yeah. Oh. Are back.
Hives.
Hives are
Is
back.
their boss.
Hives reboot. So that's it. I mean, can somebody just give me like the overview of what Windows 10 is? Is it just Windows?
It's
The whole thing with Windows 10, I think, is that they're actually trying to unify tablet, PC, and Windows, but you can build universal apps that actually run in all the different places and stuff.
Okay.
But it kind of looks like some of the stuff from Windows 8, but stepped back a little ways.
No
where,
Metro?
Like you click the start menu, and the start menu has some Metro themed stuff, and you can scale it up to full screen or scale it down, and it just is the start menu, but with some recent apps in a block. I don't know. It looks like Windows.
Because it feels like iOS tried to do that with their like Launchpad that brings up all the apps that makes it look like an iOS thing, but like nobody uses that shit.
That's just kind of there if you're
It's
like a grandparent who only knows what an iPhone is.
It also feels there because it's like they're ideologically trying to codify the looks. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, let's include Launchpad so we can
who
do a
knows?
slow 5-year crossfade.
The other thing, because this is what everyone does, is if you have an Xbox One in your house, you can stream it to your PC, which is that's such a strange backwards way to do it. But I guess with Microsoft, that's their games platform.
Well, it makes more sense. Yeah, right? Because like,
it
makes sense.
So if you've got a PC in your room and you're a kid and your parents are using the living room, you can just stream your Xbox into your room. And I think,
and you don't really need to have in the same way going back the other way. That box doesn't need to be very sophisticated.
So I guess sort of Games for Windows Live is fully gone, and what it's replaced with is an Xbox app, which has all of your social stuff, it has your friends network and your achievements and all that stuff, and the ability to just load your Xbox game, like your Xbox console, over a stream into that window. And that's sort of the Xbox social experience in Windows 10, I guess.
Oh, cool.
Seems fine.
Yeah, like, I mean,
whatever.
It's the funny thing is like I'm so far away from being a Windows family at home.
Can you stream your Xbox, then be playing a game, then snap the hockey game into the corner?
Whoa.
I imagine the answer is yes, and that would
Probably.
be stupid. Can you spy on your living room with the Kinect if it's plugged?
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the connect in this equation?
I was trying to figure
God, your
out.
dad's like, Xbox, turn off. After-
Dad, no! My blobs.
My blobs. Oh.
I hate that stuff.
I haven't turned on my Xbox One since Titanfall. So since March of last year.
I spent 20 minutes trying to remember how to turn on a PlayStation 4 yesterday.
Because you're a dad, apparently.
I swear to God.
I use my PS4 often.
Yeah,
But yes.
I pretty much only use my PC. Yesterday, I plugged in the PS4, made sure it was plugged in 3 or 4 times, hit the power button on the controller, or the PS button on the controller. Nothing.
Oh, no.
Like, picked up the PlayStation 4, like, turned it on its side, turned it over, heard it beep a couple times, and then it didn't turn on, and I went like, okay, this is, fuck. Like, the GPU's like, it's just,
Something
like,
is wrong.
unset, or whatever, like, is unseated. Oh, no. And then stood, like, I am Ollie, how do you turn on the PlayStation 4? And then I just, like, ended up Googling how to turn on PlayStation 4 and found a 25-second YouTube of a guy gently touching the front and then giving a thumbs up to the camera.
You type that in, suddenly, like, you had a Hotmail account and, like, your computer was just full of adware. You were using Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I had 3 ad bars
Your
on
VCR was blinking 12. Like, just crazy stuff started happening all over the house.
Yeah, it was very strange. Yeah.
Wow.
I started using text acronyms, but completely inaccurately, like Ollie's mom.
LOL,
You know that?
lots of love.
Lots of love.
Lots of love.
You were tagging, Grandmaster Flash instead of
Sorry,
Grandma.
I had such a bad day. LOL.
You've seen that, right? The best thing.
Your grandma died. LOL.
I ended up playing.
Grandmaster Flash died. Lots of love.
I played 3 PlayStation 4 games
Whoa.
recently. Nothing that. The only one I'll really talk about. Well, I'll say what they were. I finally played PT because I hadn't played it. I'd only watched people play it, and then I wanted to see what The Last of Us Remastered was like, so I checked that out. I'm gonna play that. I haven't played the DLC yet, still, so I think I'm gonna play that because I really am excited for that. Actually, you played it, right?
Worth your time, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's the best.
Did you talk about it here?
Game. I don't know if I did because I played it before I was a official cast member.
Oh well, let me official cast member. What is this? The park?
If I had my credentials.
Yeah. I'll play and we'll talk about it. But I ended up downloading and playing Super Mega Baseball finally.
Oh.
And it's super good.
I've heard good things.
Well, the thing is, I grew up in the era of like Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball on the Super NES, which was my game of games when I was a kid. You just build your little league team and then you try to win a championship. And it is, incredibly cartoony, sort of looks like it's not dissimilar to like a Nintendo Wii situation,
like Xbox Avatar type situation?
Yeah, except more pushed even further, like huge heads and like bats that are the size of like as big around as basketballs. But on top of all that style is a really, really, really deep game, like an incredibly deep game where you're like managing the runners and can choose between like 8 different pitches, and each pitch has a regular type and a power type. And it's really hard to like throw a good pitch, and you're stealing bases and like doing all the deep things you do in baseball, like getting in pinch runners and like holding your runners if there's a pop, all this sort of stuff. And players they all have energy, and they all have an ego meter or ego that like goes up and down depending on their performance. Like if you like miss a catch, like they get down in the dumps, and then they're like, you got to like worry about
build them back
kind
up,
of.
yeah.
So it's this really, 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 really deep simulation built on top of what it would be the equivalent of like Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey, like a brandless, sports game from
Can
the
they juice?
90s. No juicing, as far as I can tell. But there was like 50 or I don't know. There must be over 50 like unlockable power ups that you can apply to your team across whatever, and you can run a really deep season. I went through and renamed every single person on my team and reskinned every single person on my team.
Whoa.
I'm the sirloins.
Not just your starting lineup, but your whole
team. The whole team. Yeah. It is not PSN.
Can you bring people up from the farm leagues?
Unclear. I don't think that exists in this game.
That seems like it would be gratuitous. But
yeah, but it is a really deep baseball
maybe if one of
game.
your guys dies, you can bring someone up.
If they die on the field,
It's
on
like
the
XCOM.
pitch. Yeah, he get
if his ego gets completely zeroed out, he dies, somebody else comes up.
He's like a Pikmin. Just, I'm like, it's... I don't know. Do you guys have this feeling where you sit down with a game that... I think this is a byproduct of a couple things. One is games like a modern AAA action game where you just go forward, and over 24 hours of gameplay or whatever, it'll get incredibly deep because you'll be like crafting, like in Last of Us or something like that, and you'll like learn. They layer in the depth so slowly that the game feels really approachable, just really boring, Or you play an iOS game or a small like itch.io or whatever, where the concept of a tutorial is ridiculous because you would have put the game down already. So it feels like 90% of my game digestion that isn't Dota or Counter-Strike is something that's either teaching me very, very slowly over a long period of time and boring me,
or doesn't need to teach you,
or doesn't need to teach me because it's not very deep. But then I boot up a game that's much more like something from 15 years ago, 20 years ago even, where it just says, here's everything. And every time, like every 10 seconds, it's like, how the fuck do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? It's more of a deeper PC simulation. I don't really play a lot of PC sims, so I guess that's where I would find this sort of thing. But I was just so out of practice of learning all that shit quickly. Even just navigating menus. It's like, oh no, I haven't done this yet. Okay, I keep backing out before saving my guy's last name. Stuff like that, I'm so out of practice, out of how to learn to play a sim.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like because the way games are going, it's teaching you, like most modern successful games are teaching you to not have to think about that stuff.
Sure.
I was very overwhelmed but I'll keep playing it because
So you didn't get into it enough yet that you're feeling fluid.
I mean, I can play the game pretty well. Like I played a couple of games, but I didn't feel like I was like playing well. I didn't feel like I was using.
Like time your pitches and your hits like you do in Ken Griffey.
Yeah. Except it's actually more complex because there's power hits versus regular hits, and then there's like 8 different types of, and you can bunt. So like I wasn't able to use because I'm not proficient enough with all the different because you have to use every button like both bumpers everything. I wasn't to a point where I was using my baseball knowledge that I just have from being a baseball fan well, because I didn't understand. Like, I'm like, oh, I need to move that runner, but I'm too busy trying to focus on how to hit this stupid ball with this meter sort of thing. But I think I think all that stuff is actually pretty decent. It's more of a targeting system as opposed to like a golf swing thing.
Do you throw different pitches by just mashing different parts of the controller down?
No, you pick them with a...
I know.
What? Like, you could do that with maybe in Ken Griffey Jr. It was like... different combinations.
You mash the bumpers and face buttons is like different.
Oh, you mean like
grips?
Holding them like a grip, like 4-finger fastballs? You hold left trigger,
and then you
right?
just swing the accelerometer in your controller.
Tough one. Yeah,
it's true. I use all the powers of the 6-axis. Yeah, the dual shock.
Use all 6 axes.
All of them at once. Who made this game?
Metalhead is the name of the developer.
Metalhead.
Yeah, it's a good game. It is a well-made game. Like Polygon gave it a 9.
Oh yes, that's where I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Really good. Oh yes, that outlet that I write for. I really like baseball, and I'm really interested in this game, but I have not ever played in my life a baseball video game.
So then
you should just come over.
You have no expectations for what a baseball game is. Play this one, and then anything else will be a baby game.
Yeah, it's true. You can just play MLB The Show and just win 162 games in a season.
You're like, I press X to swing the okay, or whatever.
Yeah, I've never played The Show, but I hear those are good as well.
Yeah.
I
see footage of the show at baseball games.
Of MLB The Show. Oh yeah, because PlayStation's like a big giant sponsor.
Yeah, they always just show clips of that in between innings.
Yeah. You should come over and play it. I have to warn you that I named every single person on my team after genitalia. So,
that's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's probably what I would do too.
I'm sorry. Yes. That there is a guy whose last name is Scrotumus.
Well.
What's his first name?
Like Pete.
Okay.
A lot of them have regular first names.
Pete Scrotumus.
Yeah. With those.
You gotta have one guy with just a regular name.
There's a guy who I forgot to, because you go
Joe
around,
Johnson.
you go like clockwise around the locker room to like interact with all your guys and rename them and customize them. And I think there was a guy at like just one to the left of the last person who didn't get named, whose name is...
So you just got like Bill Johnson.
No.
Secretly genitalia.
Bill Johnson.
But this, you know what this game...
yeah, exactly.
Bill Johnson. Never mind, yeah.
I was going to make an Alien Isolation joke that he was in the locker, but I didn't. But I did. Because I just did.
Came back to it, though.
Sorry.
You scraped it off the ground and said, look,
no,
I
would totally
this.
do that, too. I could just picture you just sort of sitting there with like a schoolboy gleeful face, just being like, scrotumus.
I got scrotumus. Both genders genitalia, by the way.
Oh, perfect.
I got everybody.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, and I have equal male and female batters. I mean, baseball.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that.
So the gender, this is actually really cool. There's no concept of gender in the game.
That's cool.
But it's because there's 3 body types that don't have boobs. And there's 3 body types that do have boobs. And then you are not limited of any of the other like RPG character mechanic stuff based on body type. So you can take the curvy, busty girl and then put any head on her and then a beard or whatever. Like, it's just no concept of feature and of physical feature and gender.
Yeah.
And like they have all the body types are like, they go from like the super fit, like completely inverted triangle down to like dude to just sort of like regular dude to like beer belly guy. And then the exact same thing, like curvy woman up to like belly and boobs. Like it's just sort of like, like, it was interesting because my brain had to like snap out of this. It's like, no, I picked the woman. Like, why are they letting me put like, why all these faces have beards? You know, and it's like, oh no, there's no concept
right.
of
it's just,
body
these are
type.
Actually just parts that you can make a person.
Yeah, it's just it's like great. Mr. Potato Head.
That's really great. It's like the Saints Row approach almost. Like you go anywhere on the spectrum in Saints Row with regards to gender. Yeah, which is cool.
You never make a decision. There's no sort of like male sign, female sign, or anything. Like
That's awesome. So I can be like a big bearded lady.
You could make an entire team of big bearded ladies.
Oh, I'm going to do that.
And there's probably like 15 different skin tones. So you could just go one skin tone to the right all the way through.
That's amazing.
And it would just be the same giant bearded lady. That'd be no problem.
I love it.
No problem. Easy peasy.
Oh, we're going to take over the MLB.
That'd be an
Giant
imposing
bearded
fucking
ladies.
team.
I know. Can you imagine?
Oh, we're done.
Yeah.
We were like, I'm out.
Especially just like if they like, batter comes up, giant bearded woman smashes a home run, and you're like, oh my god, well at least not going to see her for 11 more batters. Okay, duh, that's just her, but a little lighter.
Cut to chewing tobacco spit from the batter's box.
Fuck, same woman, kind of darker. Oh no, like, yeah.
Most
I have a friend who was like, on like the U.S. women's softball team or junior softball. She was just, like, her and her sister both played like
Very high
NCAA
level.
high level softball, and they were pitchers, and they're identical twins.
Oh wow!
And one of them was left-handed, and the other one was right-handed.
Oh my god!
What? Isn't that? And they played on the same team all the way till college. Isn't that diabolical?
That's amazing.
Like their dad just like, it's just that's the way it happened. And their dad played baseball, so he taught them like, and they were like, one state. I think they were like from Michigan or something like that. But just like 6 innings of pure strikeout baseball. Like, gets tired. Okay, bring in the righty. Oh, thank God. Oh no, it's just the same girl. Like, oh God.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was like always just the most amazing thing.
I really think you should make a team of just her. Like both of them.
The idea of like everybody looking the same though, and it just being the same. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to do that. Because you can customize multiple teams. That's like totally fine. And then when you start a league, when you start a season, I think you can, all that stuff is incredibly deep. You can be, make it sure it's the custom, whatever team versus like the default. And you can always switch back to the default if you want to.
That's amazing.
Really deep. And like, just sort of like the guys who made this, the folks who made this, I should say, clearly played these type of games a lot, like 15 or 20 years ago, because it's incredible in terms of customizing. I'm like, yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. And not feeling like you're like breaking the canonical version of the game or whatever is very user friendly, which I really like a lot. It feels like at no point did I feel like I was ruining my copy of the game by like customizing the shit out of it.
Cheesing up your game experience. It's like the whole point is to do that, right?
Yeah. And the graphic design is all like all the different teams that it ships with are ridiculous, and it's really cool. I recommend it.
Yeah, I really want to play this now.
You should come play it. Just come over and play it.
That would be fun. We could have like a little like after school hang out.
We can have some
peanut
boxed
butter
juices
and jelly and
like make some ants on a log.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. You can yell at my mom from the other room. Mom, no. Fly my mom out for this. Mom, just stand in the kitchen and just ask me things.
Read a magazine or something.
If you think about every time you were yelling at your mom in the other room, it was always just because she was like trying to like do something nice for you. She's like, "Do you want macaroni?" No. Okay, I just want to know if you wanted the food that I was going to make, and all you had to do was chew.
It's like, oh, I'll make it anyway and bring it to you.
Yeah, here you go. It's over here. Okay, fine, whatever, Mom.
Well, you always had to be that way in front of friends because you had to be cool in front of your friends.
Yeah. You had to push your mom around in front of your friends. Like a cool kid.
Like a cool kid. You should play the uncle that works at Nintendo, the Twine game, for a good example of things that your mom does in the other room. And
did you bring
do
this up on
friends.
The podcast before?
Very briefly.
I have an uncle who works at Nintendo.
No, is this called The Uncle Who Works at Nintendo?
The Uncle Who Works at Nintendo, yes.
I mean, everyone has a friend who had an uncle who worked at Nintendo.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Nintendo's employed only by uncles.
Yeah. Only uncles all the time.
Cool.
Neither rich or cool uncle was a Nintendo employee, to my knowledge.
Ever.
No.
What?
But it's okay. My friend's uncle was. That's the third painting. You'll notice that's not framed in our office because my friend's uncle who works at Nintendo doesn't exist.
Right. Naturally.
But
well, speaking of Nintendo.
Wait, what is this game?
Oh,
really
okay.
quick, really
quick. Very, very briefly. This is a game. It's a horror Twine game with some other sort of HTML elements in it, some sound and some art stuff. That sort of riffs on the idea. You are a kid. You're going to a sleepover with your friend, and her uncle, or his uncle, I guess you can choose, works at Nintendo. And so that's sort of the premise, and then things get really weird.
And then it turns into a horror game?
And it turns into a horror game.
Oh, that's enough. Say no
It's
more.
amazing.
Like, we're done.
Play it. Enjoy it. Love it. Eat it up. It's quite good. But there's an aspect of the things your parents do in the other room. It's not sexual. That probably sounded a little suggestive, but no,
Things your parents
there's
do.
an element of that in it, and it's pretty great.
Cool.
Yeah, you should play it.
I will.
And I was going to segue into Nintendo since I played the new 3DS XL and Majora's Mask.
3DS. The new 3DS XL hardware.
Yes.
No. This is Microsoft XL for the 3DS.
Right, it's the new Windows 10 thing where it works everywhere, including
on Nintendo.
including like the 320 by 200 3DS
Spreadsheets
screen
on the
or
go.
whatever. It's got the stylus.
In 3D.
The stylus doesn't work in 3D, but you can navigate the your data, and then a 3D pie chart shows up, which can spin.
Well, in Microsoft 10's new 3DS XL, there's no physical hardware. You're just playing on a hologram.
What?
And
It's a hologram 3DS, obviously.
Yeah, just reading all the button inputs.
Yeah,
With
it's like the Minority
Next-Gen
Report.
Connect.
Seems bad.
Connect 10.0.
So what is how is? Start with the hardware.
Okay, it's fine. Like it's a better version of exactly the same thing.
So-
There's an extra button. There's a C stick.
I thought there already was a 3DS XL.
This
There
is the
is.
new
This is the
3DS XL.
new
Is there a new
version.
3DS
Oh my gosh.
non-XL that is not available in America? Is that correct? Or did I make that up from here, just from
I think
filling in the
what you've
gaps on
heard-
Twitter complaints?
Yeah, I think what you've heard is that they're not making or doing a new version of the regular 3DS.
Yeah.
But the 3DS XL, the one that's out right now and not the new 3DS XL, will still be sold.
Okay.
But the regular 3DS, which is what I have and prefer, actually, because I like the smaller size for a handheld, because otherwise it hurts my wrists a little bit to play the XL. I think that's what you've heard. So
Well,
the new one is better. It's much sharper. The 3D does work better. It kind of tracks your eyes. So if you're moving the system,
It doesn't go out of
itself,
focus as
it
much?
doesn't go crazy out of focus.
and it's got
yeah.
a C stick.
And there's a C stick. So the X, Y, and A, B buttons are just up and to the left of that. There's a C stick button. It's kind of like a little nub.
So
and
is it
helps with camera
actually a full
control.
second analog stick then?
No, not quite. It's more of a little nub.
Because why
Is
would
it like-
Nintendo put two analog sticks
Yeah.
on?
Is it like the ThinkPad nub? You ever see the nub in the middle of a laptop?
It's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. ThinkPad nub. ThinkPad nub. Yeah.
Have you played Majora's Mask before playing the new Majora's Mask?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because I've never... Okay, I played it for like a couple hours, and
Okay.
I rolled through like a day and a half of the rotating clock, and was just like, I don't get it. I was like... And now I'm...
I'm 14. I'm out.
Yeah, whatever. This isn't the same Zelda that I've played a million times. What is...
Yeah.
But now that there's a...
Just you being upset. Go to the arcade to play Time Crisis. Bye.
I don't know. I totally didn't get it.
Sure.
But now that there's a 3DS version of it, I'll be playing it, I think.
I think it's my mission in life to get you to play this game.
That's
but
really
it's really
easy.
easy because you just said you're going to play it.
Wow.
So.
Mission accomplished. Wow,
I know.
you can die now.
Look at me.
For $34.99.
Done.
You can
Your life goal.
you can pack it
My
in.
life is all done. It's my favorite 3D Zelda next to Wind Waker. I kind of go back and forth on them because one is this... Well, Majora's Mask, for those who don't know, is a 3D Zelda game. It came out in 2000
It
or
was
2001.
the sequel to Ocarina of Time, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
N64.
exactly. It was an
Yep.
N64 game, and it's really weird because it really does a lot of things with the Zelda structure. You're playing these 3 days over and over and over again. It's this sort of Groundhog Day premise.
Where a giant moon crashes into the earth.
Yeah, there's an apocalypse that happens on the 3rd day every day. So you need to sort of go back in time and try to fix more things, and go back in time and try to fix more things. And you make progress as this is happening, certainly. Like you can save all your money by putting it in a bank. If you beat a boss in a dungeon, you get the boss's mask, and you're able to just go back at any time, and that gives you progress. And every mask you get to keep. And masks sort of give you powers. That's how
You keep them
powers
through
are done.
time loops,
Exactly.
you mean?
You keep that through time loops. So you're certainly making progress, although I think people got really frustrated with the whole idea of like, oh, I have to go back in time. I've lost certain things. What is cool about Majora's Mask is that it is centered. There's only 4 proper dungeons, but there's a lot of sort of sub-dungeons in the game, and there's a lot more interaction in the world itself and sort of the lands that surround the dungeons, which I really liked about this game. And that's probably where it really structurally changes things the most outside of that whole 3-day repeating loop. So it's a Zelda game that really does play with structure, and it's really pretty and really weird and really melancholy in tone.
It is one of the weirder ones.
Yeah.
It just sort of has that, especially when you're a kid. I wonder if this carries over for new, like you haven't really played it, but I wonder if it carries over that same sort of like things that were there's no better word. I mean, there are many better words to describe them, but things that were weird, like media that was weird when you were a young teen.
Like Henson movies?
Or like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Just sort of like sat with you and like never left. Like,
Yes.
I still
Yeah,
feel what it
like
feels.
and just left the, like the memory foam imprint in your brain.
Yeah,
and it's
and
still just laying there.
Majora's Mask does that, and I think you were really primed for that.
Moon, right?
You're
Yes.
Yeah, you're primed for that because you had played Ocarina of Time, which just felt like canonical Zelda. You know what I mean? It just felt like everything in here. This is the style guide for what a Zelda game is, and the Majora's Mask showed up with a funky moon and a weird boy mask.
And all sorts of crazy neon colors.
I feel weird. I feel weird.
Yeah, well, the really cool thing about that, and I think this has to do with it, is that a lot of the assets are actually recycled from Ocarina. And like,
yeah, right. Like almost like the sets feel that way.
yeah, exactly. But they're sort of remixed in really strange ways. So, okay, so the Gerudo girls in Ocarina of Time, they're these like, you know, desert ladies, fighting ladies. And in Majora's Mask, they're pirates in this weird offshore, you know, smuggler's cove kind of thing. And it just feels like every single asset and every single character has been repurposed in a completely weirdly contextualized way.
It makes it feel like a dream.
Great.
It makes it feel like a strange
It's funny because Wind Waker also does that a little bit. Like,
it does,
but when Wind Waker does it because it's like this is hundreds of years later and the world has changed. So it's different than just weird dream state of Majora's Mask. But
it would be like it's like almost recasting. Like making a new movie with the same cast of a previous movie or something, you know?
And
like,
repurposing all the sets, but in different weird
I always really
ways.
like that stuff.
Me too.
I think Majora's Mask is like, in that sense, in terms of like looking at it at when it came out and in the game and up against Ocarina of Time is like a really like important, stylish, like marquee video game. You know?
I think
it's
so.
like I don't know why there isn't more things like it, you know?
Because people like me exist apparently who play it for like 2 hours and go, oh! And
I don't know if it did particularly well when it came out. I don't know if it...
Yeah, I don't know the numbers on it. It's one of those games where people either did what I did or never played it or just like, this is the true good Zelda game.
Didn't it come out in like 1998?
Well, Ocarina of Time was 98, and I think this was 2 years later. I think this was right before... I'm pretty sure this is 2000, like the year before the GameCube.
The GameCube came out in 2000.
Yeah, and this was like the big holiday game, the last big sort of N64 holiday game, I think.
Yeah, it was N64 in 2000.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
And then GameCube was 2001, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was sort of the next fall. So yeah, it was kind of a
crazy
last
that in
hurrah.
the same year we're going to get Grim Fandango and Majora's Mask.
I know.
I know.
Excited about both of them. Actually, Majora's Mask comes out on my birthday, which is very exciting.
When's your birthday?
February 13th.
February 13th.
Oh, you even playing a sneaky copy of it because you're right for websites.
Yeah,
cute.
it's true.
Man, speaking of Grim Fandango, there's not much to say, obviously, but like the PlayStation Store front end is like they're into this game. Like they're promoting the crap out of this game. There's like full bleed like store promotion for it.
I am
really
so hyped for Grim Fandango.
Are you gonna buy a PS4?
Oh man, I think I'm just gonna get it on. I was gonna say Steam. Well, the pre-order I think right now is only on GOG.
Oh,
but I think that when the game's available, it'll be on Steam. I don't think I'm gonna get a PS4 for it.
You can just put it on the Office PS4.
Yeah, but I just play it on Steam. It's fine. But like, it's so simple. But like, we talked about this when they first announced it. We're like, what are they gonna do? What remastering process are they gonna do? And they did almost nothing. But it looks like it's just the most tasteful remastering of that game. Like the characters are just a little higher poly, their textures are a little cleaner, and then they have a really, really, really nice real-time shading engine going on so that like because the game, the backgrounds are all pre-rendered because it's like Resident Evil or something. Like it's literally the same as Resident Evil actually, where it's pre-rendered backgrounds and tank controls. But so the shadows are all pre-rendered. So if the sun comes in and it's a little bit out of focus, the shadows sort of scatter the farther they get into the room. And the real-time shadows just blend like perfectly with that as you walk a character around. It looks so much more film noir than it did before. Like the blinds of Manny's office cast across Mech's face. And like when he walks past windows in his office building, you see his shadow up against the wall and stuff. Like it just like... It's the only extra thing that you need. It's so good. And there's point and click controls. And I heard like 3 seconds of the live orchestral version of the score because Peter McConnell came in and did arrangements of all the MIDI files and they had a real symphony play it. It sounds so good. I hope that it actually controls well and is accessible on a PlayStation 4, because I think it feels like they did just the correct things to sort of escalate the slightly stodgy parts of it without actually affecting it as a work, and I really like that a lot.
We should stream it.
We should. Man, I know how to... Have you ever played Grim Fandango? You've played...
I played... I got through the forest, and then I never finished it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, whatever. You didn't get to hear too. The good stuff, whatever.
Yeah. We should stream it, because you know how to go through everything, and it will be less...
It'd be fun. I would totally play through Grim on stream.
How do you feel about streaming that? Like,
because it's an adventure game? Because it's a story game?
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been out for...
I guess if we're talking over it and stuff...
Yeah, also it's been out since 1998, so it's either spoiled or it's not. Yeah. But, I don't know. I think there are some people who are going to sit through the entire stream of a game like that and never buy the game. There are some people who are going to watch enough of the stream and go, I'm out, I gotta go, and I gotta play it for myself. And there are some people who are just never going to care one way or the other. So, like, just whatever, just stream it.
Do you guys want to take a break?
Yes.
Sure.
Cool.
Video games.
We would like to thank our fine friends at Squarespace for helping us bring you this podcast. Squarespace is a web development platform where you can make a really clean-looking website. You can register a URL there. And now with Squarespace 7, they have Google Apps integration, they have Getty Images integration, and it's really, really easy to make a professional website. And I can attest to this because I made my dad a Squarespace website for his accounting practice, VannemanCPA.com, using Squarespace and nothing else, and like photos that were on my iPhone from a recent trip to Wyoming. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It was really easy. I used just one of their basic templates. My dad is stoked. Attaching like a email address or any sort of database to their contact form is really easy. So if you're like, oh, you have like a business where people need to like, you want people to solicit your services, it's great because the contact form sends like directly to a MailChimp database, to an Excel spreadsheet with Google Apps, or straight to email. It's really easy to integrate this stuff. I made it way quicker than I thought it was going to take, and I'm really happy with the way it turns out. And it looks great on mobile. My dad is really stoked. So you can build your own website with Squarespace and get 10% off your first purchase with the promo code THUMBS. That's squarespace.com. And the promo code THUMBS. So thanks, Squarespace. And we'd also like to thank a new sponsor. It's Harry's at harrys.com. They offer shaving supplies for your face. Really well-priced razor blades and shaving equipment that is of a super high quality and much cheaper than what you're going to be able to find at the Walgreens or wherever you buy your shaving stuff. So Harry's is offering a discount to Thumbs readers, which is $5 off your first purchase. They do free shipping, and you can get a shaving kit. It comes with a handle, a really nicely weighted handle of the color of your choosing, 3 blades, and your choice of either shaving cream or shaving foam, and a little case for the blade for $15, but you'll get $5 off, so it's $10 out the door and free shipping. And my dad also received Harry's razors for Christmas because they had reached out to us, and my mom thought it was a great gift, and it was. And he is over the moon. My dad is, well, I already said he was a CPA because it was. He's very miserly and does not like spending $1 bazillion on razor blades. He has a mustache, clean shaven, shaves every single day, and loves his Harry's razor, and loves that he can just go to harrys.com and reorder his blades.
It's worth pointing out that you said these are for your face. They're for wherever you want. We're not going to judge.
That's a really good point. You can shave anything.
Any hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any hair on any creature.
And I will say, I have used the Harry's razor, and I would feel comfortable shaving anywhere with it.
Excellent.
It's very smooth.
Okay.
Excellent.
I would if I was going to. Like, so man, woman, child, beast, you should all know that harrys.com is a wonderful place to get razor blades, and you can get $5 off with the coupon code THUMBS. Thanks, Harry's. And thank you, Jake.
That's HARRYS, by the way.
Exactly right. HARRYS, by the way.
Thanks, Sean's dad, for sampling all of our wares this week.
Yeah. shaving while scrolling through his beautiful Squarespace website.
This is great.
Video games.
We're back.
Sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, speak about ghosts.
All right. I played this game called Gravity Ghost.
How did you know?
It was ghostly.
Gravity Ghost?
Gravity Ghost. Yes.
That's funny because I thought ghosts had no gravity.
Well, this
They are
one does.
apparitions.
This ghost is just very grave. That's not meant to be like a pun about ghosts.
Oh my God!
That's not what I meant. I meant he's serious. He's like stoic.
You chose of all the words. that mean,
Okay, gravity.
I get it. Yes, like it has like
this ghost.
is
Gravitas.
It has gravitas.
Yeah.
There, that's better.
gravitas ghost.
Yeah, it's a different ghost.
Gravitas Ghost.
So what's this ghost?
This is a delightful game, and it actually is delightful. It's not grave at all, or has much gravitas. It's actually a very colorful, trippy puzzle platformer.
That's what you love.
So, well, not really so much platformer, I guess. Maybe more of a physics-based puzzle game, where you play as a ghost girl, a very colorful little ghost girl. And
Is this
what
game
she
like
does
a 3D space, 2D
is
space?
totally 2D.
Okay, it's like side-scrolling.
Yeah,
situation.
basically side-scrolling. Although, well, usually you kind of have one field, like one screen.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of moves around a little bit, but it's not exactly a side-scroller. Yeah, 2D physics-based puzzle game where you sort of fly in space and you orbit little planets, and you have the ability to sort of launch yourself off of little planets, little planetoids, in order to collect stars and rescue animal spirits and join animal spirits with their bodies so they can be in the afterlife.
Everything about this game that you've described sounds like somebody pilfered a box of like games I wish existed suggestions that you filled out. It was just like checking boxes of like,
Yeah.
yes, animal spirits, of course, yes. Night
and-
puzzles,
and
yes.
Ghosts, yeah, definitely.
Ghost girl,
So
yes.
how does that, like, do you get momentum and then
You
do
do.
something that, like, how do you get the momentum to leave a planet that you're spinning around?
So the gravity is different for every kind of little planet, but in general, you have really long ghost hair. I know this sounds
No.
kind of wacky, but this is how it works. You launch yourself off of a planet, and it's pretty easy. You can pretty much launch yourself off of anything and get a little sort of,
An orbit?
Like orbit?
orbit. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Going. But your hair is really long, and it leaves a long trail, and that also affects your orbit and sort of how far you can go. So if you have a lot of hair, you can go really far, and you can make all sorts of bizarre twists. Sort of, you can course correct in the middle of an orbit, especially if your hair is
Okay.
very long. So you can kind of zigzag around and sort of plot your course.
So you
to
can
the
use
next
your hair to
little
sort
planet.
of bend you.
You do, exactly. Yeah, so it's a little bit Mario Galaxy in that way, the way gravity changes for different planets and the way you're sort of moving yourself around. It's also a little bit, I don't know if you played Osmos, the sort of puzzle game.
I only played a minute of Osmos, but I remember the
I know,
gist of it.
I know Chris.
Chris was
played
all
it.
over
Yeah,
Osmos.
Chris
Yeah.
loved Osmos, and he got me into it. And I used to play Osmos like before bed because it was this really relaxing, very chill sort of physics-based game where you were using gravity and just sort of moving little planetoids and little cells around. This is a lot like that, only way trippier, and with this story about a ghost girl and animal spirits and things like
Is
that.
it a PC thing?
Yes.
Okay.
on Steam.
Yeah, it's on Steam. It's coming out on the 26th, I think. So it's just before its official release right now. The music is by Ben Prunty. He made the FTL soundtrack.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Man.
So it's fantastic music.
I love the FTL soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. And the Gravity Ghost soundtrack is also like amazing, just ambient and chill and kind of happy and uplifting. And the visuals are really, really kind of something special.
So then it is more sort of board based than like scrolling level based. And then
Exactly.
once you just win by clearing all animals, like reuniting all of them, or is there a timer? Like how does it? What is the
there's no
metric of
timer
success?
and there's no dying either.
Okay.
If you screw up, you just end up near wherever the nearest planet is.
Okay.
Kind of. So it's actually really sort of relaxing to play this game. It's very, and with the visuals and the music being very happy and chill and relaxing, it's really quite nice. Even though it does certainly get challenging to kind of do it right. And I'm at the point in the game, I actually played it on our Twitch stream a little bit last night. I played maybe an hour and a half or so of the game, and I was just sort of starting to get into the areas where you start having powers. You have different sort of abilities to do different things on different planets. There are water planets, there are air planets, there are sort of different elemental planets that you can change depending on sort of what you, whether you change your ability set while you're on that planet or not.
Okay.
So it's almost like you have little costume changes. Like, I'm going to be the water ghost now, and you can actually turn a planet, you can terraform a planet into a body of water, and that will affect sort of how you can slingshot yourself off of that and slow yourself down in a body of water, and then do whatever else you're trying to do.
All right.
So I know this is super
that sounds cool.
abstract sounding, but it's really, really fun, really, really pretty, and this is sort of a game that, like you were saying, like, sounds like somebody just took a whole bunch of ideas that sound really great. There are a lot of ideas that I really love. Like, I really love games of this nature that are sort of
Sean mentioned it was on the Riendeau checklist.
Yes,
not just
exactly.
A checklist.
Yeah, this isn't just,
it was
this is
definitely
not
mine.
a generic checklist. This is a,
Very specific.
Riendeau specific.
Yeah.
You were the gravity ghost all along.
Yeah, it's really starring me, actually. I don't know if I mentioned that. Weird. Collusion!
Classic case.
Yeah, it really is.
To the point where developers are naming their protagonists after known reviewers.
Trying to get scores.
Gravity Ghost. Named after famous GamePro reviewer.
Firewatch protagonist Ben Cachero goes out into the wilderness to discover.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Well, this is by Ivy Games, and it's good, and you should play it.
Sweet.
Yes.
Cool.
You want to talk, Sean, about how you were cheating in CSGO? Oh, not you, everyone else.
No, I don't know. I'm not sophisticated enough to cheat. You know what's... So, do you know about this shit? I've been playing a lot of CSGO. But do you remember when we talked about that pro match that Evan Lottie broke down of like the guy who is like just a transcendent CSGO player?
Yes.
Like he was using... It looked almost as if he was using Wallhacks.
But he's just that good.
No, he was using Wallhacks.
What?
So the pro scene of CSGO has just been, I think it's fair to say now, rife as far as I can tell in my preliminary.
It's been rocked with scandal enough times that it is rife.
It is rocked to the point of rife with cheating scandals. And it's funny, like Jake and I don't know if we were talking about this on the podcast, but like I was talking about how I'm really into pro Dota, and I'm into pro Dota as a fan differently than I'm into playing Dota. The same way that like I'm into the NBA, but like I will also play pickup basketball in the park, and I do not those two, but I'm into them for different reasons.
Sure.
Like when I'm playing basketball in the park, I'm not thinking about like the NBA.
I think the one thing that the one place that reflects a little bit is that playing a little bit of shitty pickup basketball means that when you watch people play amazing basketball,
You appreciate it.
You appreciate the distance that they have traveled from you.
Like you forget that like dunking a basketball is an act of superhuman skill.
Yes.
Like because it's nothing and
right, but otherwise, they're just separate things in your brain.
Yeah. It's always fun to like wander into a park and like stand underneath a basketball hoop and like think about jumping up and grabbing it. And going like, yeah, that's correct, Jake. But I never really felt that way about pro CSGO, and now I'm definitely never going to give a fuck about it ever for as long as I live. And I know that sounds intense, but I think that's not uncommon. Like I was thinking about cheating in sports in general, and this scandal is bonkers. Basically, it was a match-fixing scandal in a recent tournament where one of the players in the match created 9 online Smurf accounts at like CS Lounge, which is a betting website, and won like $1,200 per account, which is not not a non-substantial amount of money. You know, it's like 5 figures. You know, whatever 1,100 or 1,200 times 9 is. Now I'm doing the math. It's $10,800. And reading about it, it's just sort of. Like, I'm sure there'll be repercussions, and I'm sure that guy's not going to play again. But if it's this easy to cheat in this game, and a lot of the online servers in the pub matches, I play casual, so I don't really experience this stuff, but are also rife with cheating. Like, your sport is basically dead. And I guess there was never really... I don't know what they wanted out of CSGO as a pro sport, but you're never going to get a real audience. Like, period. Yeah. There's just no way. I don't think there's a way to really come back from the early days of your sport being rife with a bunch of like childish cheaters.
Yeah.
And then people expecting anybody to ever take it seriously.
Counter-Strike has always been full of childish cheaters, like Wallhacks and Aimbots and all that stuff. I first heard about that the most in like the original like Gold Source days of like CS 1.x. But I had thought that with CSGO, with them putting an economy around it and stuff, that they'd sort of thought maybe we can reset this and keep it a little bit more sane. But
Yeah.
it seems like it's just the culture of Counter-Strike. But
It
you're
is. It is just the culture of Counter-Strike.
But you're right, though, because then anyone who's interested in it, it is like you were saying, just if in any professional sport, if a big cheating scandal happens, then there are so many people in the world, if you try to get them into it, it'll be like, oh, they cheat.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just
There was a
written
big
off.
issue with this with the NBA in the late 90s and early 2000s where in the playoffs, this is like during the Michael Jordan era, so NBA, the Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, early Kobe Bryant days. So like where people thought the refs were being like mob influenced to call fouls and things like this and change playoff games. And it turns out there was a scandal where a referee had been paid to like make a bunch of calls. And it rocked the NBA. The guy was banished for life. There was like a federal investigation into the NBA. It was like a real deal. And I think with physical sports, especially like established like the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball, there is a sense, and it probably has something to do with the fact that our government's run by a bunch of old white men who love this shit, that those things are representative of our society in such a way that when scandal happens, there's like a sacred and there's a sanctity of those sports that then must be rooted out. Like Pete Rose bet on baseball and got kicked out of the baseball and will never be in the Hall of Fame, even though he's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. And he didn't even bet on his own team.
Yeah.
Like he's bet on other baseball games. He never bet on the Reds, and he never bet against his own team. Certainly. Like it is just like zero tolerance. You are dead to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's because you like those sports as leagues, as billion-dollar businesses understand that even just it's a poison pill. Like
Just the
one
thought.
little drop of that people will disappear. So there's zero chance of CS:GO ever being like a substantial, like real
Because like Evan,
esport in
it's
my
funny because
eyes.
we actually got the mini version of that arc because when Evan put that video up that was of that amazing high level play, we were like, oh shit, maybe there is something to this, and we all jumped on CS:GO, and now it's like,
It's like, oh,
Yeah. Like I actually worry for Dota, and I think a lot of it is
when's Dota going to have its first big cheating scandal?
yeah. And there's been like little stuff where like people have been had things levied at them, but there's not been a big scandal in Pro Dota.
No one threw the international and cashed out somehow. How do you throw the international and cash out?
I mean,
Yeah.
you can do lots of shit though. I mean, you
Yeah.
can like if you're there to throw, like there's so much going on. Just like, oh, my blink dagger didn't go off, or like, oh, my ult didn't go off, and we lost that team fight, and we lost. Like, there's easy ways to throw because I throw accidentally all the fucking time,
yeah.
And it's scary when you think that like there's a pretty good chance that there will be $10 million up for stake at TI5.
Right.
Like somebody, I think I saw like an internet comment on the PC Gamer article about the CS:GO scandal. It's like, well, whenever you get money involved, there's always going to be cheating. There's always going to be shit like this. There's always going to be corruption, which I totally disagree with because like you make a lot more money winning the U.S. Open, than you do winning a Counter-Strike tournament. And it's just about these like governing bodies. Like there's going to have to be a governing body if these sports are going to be real. And I think that's where we're getting to the point where, especially things like League, and like League has Riot, which is going like the company that is always going to like oversee that game. We talked about this on Dota Today last week, where it's like Valve is not an overseer in that sense. They're not going to control a league. They're not going to like
they oversee the international, but they don't seem to give a fuck about anything else that's going on, right?
No, in terms of other tournaments, I mean they keep the game bug free and they balance the game and they it's like they're like the equipment manufacturer or
Yeah,
something.
they're like
You know what I mean?
maintenance and not.
Yeah,
actually
I don't know. So
governing.
that's probably a bad way to compare them, but I don't know. It's also because like a lot of these tournaments are run by like guys in their 20s. The people in these teams. If you're like Fear is the oldest Dota player right now. He's 26. Like or he's 27, but he's the oldest, and he's like old man Fear. There's a kid on EG now named Samael who's 15.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right.
In the tournaments being run by their peers, like I hate to chalk it up to age, but there's sort of a sense of like there's a maturity and sort of like structure to these things that
Well, if you-
are
if
in
you-
place in physical sports for a reason, not just because they're run by old
Well,
stodgy
it's also
idiots.
the institution itself has observed and passed through getting burned enough times that it's not going to get burned as heavy anymore.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you're just a kid and you're operating in a 6 or 7 figure, like, professional prize operation, you probably haven't been burned that many times.
Right. And even then, you don't really have a concept for what it all means. You know, you don't have I don't think you don't have a perspective.
Yeah.
The Dota scene is really weird right now. There's just like a lot of pros leaving. Like like one of the most well-known pros is leaving, and under like a lot of interpersonal drama. It's funny because again, it feels like pro sports, like physical sports, don't feel like gossipy, even though there's lots of rumor and speculation. Like pros are over there, the media is over here, and there's not a lot of there's a pretty big chasm in between. But like in esports and this sort of like new era of sports, and I guess you could say there's physical sports, these guys are just like fucking on Twitter and on forums and like airing their dirty laundry and like retiring in the middle of the day on on their like streams. You know, and like you can look into most of these guys' lives because they're streaming on Twitch mostly.
Right.
You know,
you're not watching just like
a practice.
Yeah, a practice game where someone's like, fuck it, I'm out. And it's like, you can't even be out.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's very strange. But I don't know. I wonder if, I think that might be the biggest hurdle. People talk about like, oh, what are the hurdle for esports becoming like really popular? And I don't think it's the fact that they're being played on computers. And I don't think it's the fact that like it's culturally challenging for people to think about them as real versus physical sports. I actually think it's going to be like, can the maturity of these institutions
institutionalized professionalism.
Institutionalized professionalism where it makes you have faith that everything's on the up and that the people you're rooting for are worth rooting for,
and just that it's going to be around for a minute, that it's not just going to fall into a hole.
God, what if Pro Dota is like Pogs? I'll be so bummed.
What if it's like the XFL?
God, if in 10 years you guys are like, remember when you were into Pogs? Like, to me, I'll be
if Pro Dota is like the XFL, that's fine, because that means it'll show up in a bad Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
We have to be close to that, right? We have to be close to that.
To like the Net 2, where the final chase sequence takes place, where there's a sniper at the International.
Like nobody saw Black Hat. That movie made like $4 million this weekend, but maybe like maybe there's a chase scene through an MLG StarCraft tournament in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my old man rant about pro sports. See, Chris isn't here to stop me.
The thrilling conclusion at BlizzCon.
I find it very interesting. I keep thinking about the NFL when you're talking, though.
About League of Shadows.
Interpersonal drama and, well, not cheating so much, but it's like obviously an open secret that a lot of NFL players are on steroids. Like that's
it's not so much
obvious.
steroids. It's like it's human growth hormone, which they don't even test for.
The NFL has all sorts of stuff, especially in
lot.
recent years, that are like trust eroding stuff. Though it is like people, like there's a lot of people in just brain damage stuff, the steroid stuff.
Yeah,
it's just,
the domestic abuse.
Yeah, domestic abuse.
The punishment of players for anything that's like should be punished, like domestic abuse, chief among them.
Yeah,
like brain, like long-term brain injury, HGH. Like there's just like I don't know. I wrote that big article at the beginning of the year about how I was done watching the NFL.
It's the same sort of thing though, where it's like if the organization itself doesn't own up to that stuff and correct with extreme prejudice, it eventually just like that crack doesn't fix itself. It just slowly gets bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's scary about the NFL is that American culture, like broad American culture, is so tied up in the NFL in how like capital A America identifies that like poisonous elements of the National Football League, as opposed to being continue to get worse and to be exposed, it seems like they actually have sort of a like transference effect on our society. It's like what we'll put up with, what we'll say is okay, like what will just sort of like, you know what I mean? And I think that's actually more insidious. Like that's the actual thing.
You
That
think it's
scares
like what's good for the NFL is good for America?
Sort of. It's just sort of like It's like, what does it say about like? Unfortunately, the NFL is so big now that like the Ray Rice scandal actually is a bigger indictment of American culture than it is NFL fandom, and that's fucked. That's really shitty.
Do you think that maps to StarCraft culture in South Korea?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know.
I imagine not.
I don't know how big I mean, I know StarCraft is huge in South Korea. I don't know.
I don't think that's.
I don't know if it's NFL linebacker sized as it is. Yeah.
Imagine if America, like if Counter-Strike had somehow taken the place of the NFL, what a shitty country we'd be in right now.
Oh my god. That's like a Black Mirror episode.
I know.
It really is.
That's the stupid near future thing where America's favorite sport is a stupid like a low poly simulator where counter-terrorists and terrorists fight over and over again in 3-minute bouts.
Terrorists win.
Boo. It's like wrestling where they're just the bad guy characters.
Oh, the heels.
Fucking
Yeah.
Black Mirror. When you were talking
I
about
have been watching it obsessively, and I can't watch more than an episode or two.
when you were
in a
talking
day.
about that the Microsoft AR/VR headset, it just reminded me of episode 3 of season 1 of Black Mirror, where you have like a camera built into your eye, basically.
And it records your
Yeah, it records.
experiences.
Yeah, you can have it record your experiences and catalog them like an iPhone. That is one of the most well done pieces of science fiction I've seen in so long.
It's really
Did you see that episode?
I haven't seen past episode
Okay,
1 yet.
well, that's it then. Episode 3, just you can skip 2 if you want to, man. You have to watch episode 3 of season 1.
Don't skip 2.
I think episode 3 of
Okay.
season 1 is one of the best pieces.
Whatever. You're just saying, let's just say watch Black Mirror.
Yes.
It's on Netflix.
Watch Black Mirror.
All right, guys.
We'll leave you with this thought. Watch Black Mirror.
Should I run through the Chris spiel?
The Chris Spiel? Yeah.
Yeah,
Give us
thanks
the
for listening. If you like us, please tell a friend. Please rate us on iTunes. It helps a lot.
Rating us on iTunes really helps, especially if a bunch of you do it all at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you can follow us on Twitter at IdleThumbs. Our podcast is available at idlethumbs.net/idlethumbs. We are on Twitch. Danielle streams pretty often, including check out the Gravity Ghost stream to see what that game is. It's twitch.tv/idlethumbs. And you know, you were talking about Dota today. If that esports stuff sounded interesting to you and you want to hear more, you should go to dotatoday.net. And the most recent episode is talking a lot about the current state of the Dota scene and sort of
The pro scene, yep.
and the pro scene in general.
Yep. We have the caster, his name is Cinderin on, and he's really, really, really fascinating. So,
Nice.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Yay.
Chris will be here.
I'm never driving again.
That was the one that had cheese in it that one time.
Oh my god! Oh god! So we